Welcome to our first in-person field trip.
In this post-COVID world.
And this and oh god, what was the phrase they were using during the pandemic? In these challenging times.
In a world where 100% of people are fully vaccinated and COVID doesn't dare show its face in this neck of the woods.
Yeah, certainly not with a new strain. Anyways.
COVID's got a brand new strain. But no COVID here because we are back in the world of field trips. Because we did a few field trips over Zoom.
Yes, we did.
They were field trips of the mind.
Yeah, they were in field trips in spirit. Like the way that Victorian children look at picture books of other countries and like, one day, me too.
Yeah, one day I'll be in Charles Phoenix's 50s Wonderland.
Yeah, I'll be in his time machine box.
Yeah, with his dog that he goes around, has historical adventures with. But this is a brand new edition of the Meekly music box. The last one we did was right when the lockdown. No, not Meekly music box.
Thank you. Sorry. Yeah.
What is this called?
Alex Evans didn't know that we made him play music, but when we put a ukulele in his hands, he knew what to do.
Yeah. So how many is this? Like, this is your first album. We don't have first timers on this.
A little more street cred before you do that.
He didn't think he had it in him, but that aria he sang was out of this world. Yeah. But yeah, this is not a Meekly music box. No. This is a field trip. The last in-person field trip we did was released right when the quarantine was started with Paul Haddad when we were what was it? Rattlesnake Park? Is that what it's called?
It was something like Rattlesnake Park, which is it's a trap. It's a known Admiral Akbar spot. Yeah, that was the last one we did, and we released it like the day after quarantine hit. So everyone's like, "You monsters!"
Yeah, because we recorded it like a month before. Yeah. But yeah, we finally. This is one we wanted to do for forever. Since like the first field trip we ever did. Like,
yeah,
we started it and we're like, what if we could do this at the Bob Baker Marionette Theater?
It was a little like that, yeah.
And here we are. We finally got to go to the Bob Baker Marionette Theater. Invited, even better. Yeah, our ban was lifted.
The way we prefer. It's been a long dream of both of ours to get to talk to
a puppet.
No, just to hang out with the Bob Baker people and chit chat and see what they're all about.
It was everything we had hoped it was.
It
really was. Like all of like what you think of that place, it's like exactly what you imagine behind the scenes. Like, everybody's really nice, and then behind the scenes it's just like puppets everywhere, boxes of felt, and just like, this is these are the drawings that they did to try to recreate Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in 1939.
Yeah, they were both behind the stage, behind the curtain, which was like everything I've ever wanted to just like peruse. And then we went upstairs to the little archive area and like staff area, and that was another like weird daydream space where it's like, oh, this is the library and this is the record library, and just like a bunch of boxes that we're still trying to sort.
And also a guy behind the scenes who during the entire show, unbeknownst to anybody, was crafting more puppets. This little gnome of a man crafting all these puppets. But yeah, because they took us backstage after they gave us a full tour of the whole theater. And also you were recognized by one of our listeners, Bionic Dave, who was with...
Hi, Bionic Dave.
Hello, Bionic Dave. He was with the guy whose birthday it was. And then he saw me shoveling ice cream into my mouth. He was like, oh, Daniel.
You literally have like a 5 out of 6 chance to see you shoveling ice cream in your mouth. It happens so often. The surprise would be like, oh, you're not eating ice cream. You can't be Daniel. You're not eating junk food.
I feel like, it's like Henry Winkler walking around and he's like, anybody right? And then he's like, how about, hey? And then everyone's like, the Fonzie.
That's how I know you.
Yeah. If you see a guy shoveling ice cream into his mouth amongst a bunch of kids, it's me.
Seeing because I've gone to maybe like 4 or 5 shows at the Marionette Theater, and I have such a reverence for the puppets that going backstage and seeing them hung up like inanimate objects, I felt like I was I like wanted to shutter my eyes. Like I shouldn't have been seen. Like I'm
know.
looking through a keyhole that I shouldn't be looking into.
And when we went backstage, they all like covered up their chests and and groins.
My word. Yeah.
Occupied. So the reason we were there was to talk. Well, not the reason. We loved being there. We got to see the show, which is the Hooray LA show, which is if you love LA history and you love puppets, which I know whoever's listening to this falls into both of those categories, it is a show that encapsulates like the entire history of LA through puppets and songs. And it was perfect. Like it was exactly up our alley. It was so great.
I don't know if I was talking to you and Alex about it, or if I don't know if we were recording or not, but I was like, I wonder how far back they're going to go. And the show opens with thanking the
tongue like the Keech people. Yeah, it goes way back. It covers like, oil. It covers
the tar pits, prehistoric days.
Maybe my favorite part was the tar pit thing.
Yeah.
Because it had a dinosaur of sorts, a woolly mammoth, not a dinosaur. Okay, I get it. We've been corrected already.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been brought to our knees before. I get it.
Okay, I get it. Adam and Eve rode Tyrannosaurus Rexes. I believe you now. So we got to see the Hooray LA thing, which is going on until September 10th. So you can see that.
Yeah, and you should.
Which you absolutely should see that. And coming up after that, you got to get ready because the Halloween Spooktacular is coming, which we saw a few years ago together, uninvited. We rushed the box office.
We snuck in through a vent. Yeah. We dressed up as puppets and we snuck in.
Yeah, we watched it Huckleberry Finn style. It was our puppet funeral and we just wanted to see it. So yeah, you definitely should see the Halloween Spooktacular coming after that. But who we talked to today for this interview is Alex Evans, who is the co-executive director and head puppeteer of the Bob Baker Marionette Theater. And we did it, like you were saying, in their music library. So we were just surrounded by like all of the old vinyl that Bob Baker had collected for inspiration. And at one point he's like, oh yeah, I think it's right here. And he just like pulled out the exact record.
Like they do in movies. Oh, I think I saw that the other day. And like a pretend sifting, but he knew exactly where it was supposed to go the whole time. Like, oh, right here.
He's also a robot. We forgot to mention.
I wanted to reverse Pinocchio there. Like I wanted to become a puppet.
I know.
A small wooden boy.
Please, I want to stop being a real boy.
They want money from me. The government.
When you wish upon a dying star. But yeah, this was like, he was so nice. Alex was so nice. And he was so generous with this time because he had way more interesting places to go than to sit there and talk to us. But he was really nice to us. He took so much time showing us everything. And he was great. He's so talented at what he does there and other places. I don't mean to discount his talent elsewhere.
Sure.
But I'm sure he's good at jump rope. But
we're going to test him next time we see him.
It was great. Thanks to everybody there who set it up. Mary, who's helped to organize all this. And yeah, I learned something as well.
I think I truly found myself within the halls of that little theater in Highland Park.
As I stood backstage and stared into the eyes of an onion, I knew who I finally was. But yeah, no, this is one of the, like, we kind of hammer it home a lot in the interview, but this is like one of the most unique and special places in the city. And there's nothing else like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Except maybe Chuck E. Cheese at its best is this place at its worst.
Yeah. There's a gray area there, sure.
The Venn diagram is small and frightening.
But just to whether they invited us or not, whether they recognized us in our seats or not,
which I insisted they did.
Make sure to say something nice when you walk by, Greg. It's a wonderful space, and I was so lucky. And every time I go, I feel so lucky to be there.
And also, icing on the cake, playing the organ music is Ed Torres, who did feature in a music box. That's why I was so confused. I'm not just stupid. I'm also confused.
Yeah, it's two things. You're multi-talented.
This place, I feel like we're slowly working through. And next time, we're going to interview the cleaning crew. Yeah. And then we're going to interview the social media. Like, like we're slowly working our way through the entire Bob Baker Theater. That's how much we love this place.
I know. And like there's a volunteer page. We could like clearly sign up, but we're still like, but maybe if we play our cards right, they'll let us hang out all the time.
10 years after trying to figure out how to do podcasts, maybe we'll get to meet the black cat.
I can't meet her. I have a girlfriend. I'm not going to put myself in temptation's way.
My wife couldn't make it that day. So when Melissa is away, Daniel plays with the cat.
My hall pass.
So if you're new to all of this,
yes.
Sorry. But
we don't know how to turn this off. Sorry.
this meeting the recording.
Yeah.
But if you're new to all this, if you came just from Bob Baker, we do a monthly Los Angeles history podcast where we're not always talking about the Bob Baker Marionette Theater. But guess what? This is 2 episodes in 1 month that we are. So yeah, you could listen to that. You'll learn about Los Angeles. Wherever you found this, you can find our other episodes. So now let's take a merry little jaunt to the Bob Baker Marionette Theater in Highland Park with our, let's just say it, new best friend.
Calling it now.
I'll be at his wedding. I don't know about how he feels about that, but I'll be there.
I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I'm going to do it.
I've been banned by the Bob Baker Theater and made my way back in. I can make it into his heart. Here's our interview with Alex Evans at the Bob Baker Marionette Theater.
Cue the cute song that's only on one record that's impossible to find.
I know. To the Bob Baker Marionette Library.
Who are you and how long have you lived in LA?
My name is Alex Evans from the Bob Baker Marionette Theater. I've been in LA since 2007, so whatever that math is.
Okay.
Where were you before that?
So all over the place. So born in Jersey, the Isle of Jersey, and then England, then New England, then Georgia, New York, and then California. So I guess Georgia, but
When you said Jersey, I was like, oh, he's from New York.
No.
You sound just like you're from New York. So you alluded to it, but where are we right now?
yeah. So right now we're in the music library of the Bob Baker Marionette Theater, which is the oldest and longest running marionette theater in the country.
And we just saw Hooray LA is the name of it. That's the show we just saw.
Really?
Yeah.
And it is, how would you, it's all of the history of LA in an hour.
Yeah, I think if you imagine the history of LA done in a puppet theater,
as it was intended.
as it was intended. I think, at least in my mind, it lives up to that. But yeah, it's been around. So the show is the last original show Bob did. Kind of, we're in 1981 is when he started.
Wow, okay.
Right? But he did for LA's bicentennial. So
okay.
yeah.
So yeah, I was going to ask that. Who wrote the scripts for, is this his original scripts or?
So kind of, it's an interesting question. Like very much, like everything at the theater is like a living theater. Like every time we mount a show, there's always tweaks or new numbers or new puppets. So Bob did the show for LA's bicentennial. Then the Olympics in '84, Bob did the show, and there was like changes then.
Yeah.
Then 2016, we kind of remounted it, and then made a bunch of changes then. And then in this show, there's a whole bunch of changes now. But like that's kind of true to tradition. Like it's just this organic thing and done by everybody. It's not like Bob Baker, wonderful legend, but truly a name that represents so many artists and people that kind of contributed to the show.
Yeah.
And the Nicole Kidman line was Bob Baker's original line.
Yeah, it's funny that she knew that. Yeah,
He was so ahead of his time.
Watching the show, the lights dimmed and I was ready for puppets to come out. And I thought, how far are they going to go back? And then you start the show by thanking the Tongva people.
Right.
I was like, oh, they're going to go all the way back.
Beginning.
Great. Good. This is a good show.
in the 80s, it was just King Carlos. So it was, yeah.
I mean, this might be a stupid question, but who are these real songs? Not real, like songs that pre-existed?
Yeah, so vast majority, yes. So it's everything from Chorus Line or The Apple Tree to like Billy Bond's Review. Do you guys know Billy Bond's Review?
No.
So funny, there's the album right behind me. So like Billy Bonds had this like LA review show, so it would just have a bunch of talent and just would kind of tour around LA and would just like songs about just silly things about. So LA is the opening number of the show is from there. So it's just like a strange like novelty record about the history of LA. But they're all like, some of them are sped up, like some of them are like spliced with different songs. So it's very much like, I don't know, maybe I'm just trying to kind of pretty appropriating someone else's like artwork, but I mean, it's definitely intentional. It's not like a jukebox musical.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. And it's also the perfect length for the kids who are in the audience to be like they're not gonna, this isn't the 15-minute symphony of like, it moves pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Kids are a great metric of like, they'll tell you exactly when they're bored.
Yeah.
I had the revelation today. I've been to other shows and I've been to the First Theater in Echo Park. And today I really got the sense that the kinds of songs with the puppets, with the attitude of the puppets, with the theater, all are one big fun cohesive thing together. And I had kind of not had that revelation before, but it's all just fun. Like, it's just like spewing fun.
Yeah, it's the most beautiful thing to me about the theater is like it's not just puppets or just music or just scenic stuff. It's kind of everything together, and it's the sum is truly bigger than the parts.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
I have more questions, but I want to get to the before we start going too out of order. And I'm like, so who are you again?
Alex, what do you do here?
I am the co-executive director and head puppeteer.
And you've been doing this since?
So 2007, I started like actually interning in the music library, helping Bob digitize things to CDs at the time. And so, I forgot the question.
Who are you?
Yeah.
How long have you been doing?
Jersey is where?
How long have you been with Bob Baker? I guess I'm asking.
So since 2007. So when I started, the theater was kind of like in this big transition. Bob was in his like mid to late 80s, and truly I found this like magical place, and I just like asked to do as much as I possibly could, from the puppet shows to like doing the posters or working on the website or whatever, name it. And like, this sounds maybe a little morbid, but like Bob was getting older and older, and Bob at this point was doing everything. So like, the void of things that needed to get done was just bigger and bigger and bigger until Bob passed away, and myself and the other puppeteers at the time were like, okay, let's keep it going. Like, and it was no clean succession of this is what's going to happen. It was just like, oh, this is just what's happening.
Yeah.
When I was doing research for the Bob Baker episode, I was so happy to hear that there were people under him who could just like pick it up and move on. So thank you for that. Thank you and the whole team for that. That's fantastic.
It's crazy to me that you knew Bob Baker. Like, he feels like a mythic, like he died 400 years ago. How did you know Bob Baker? But that's crazy. But what is, I'll do one question at a time. How did you get into puppetry then?
So before Bob Baker Marionette Theater, no background in puppetry whatsoever. Like, if you asked me about marionettes, I would have said like dolls and strings, like
that weird room in Mr. Rogers' house.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like kind of in the stop motion, but truly just a kid in film school, just trying to figure everything out. Yeah, but just ended up Googling Los Angeles puppets. And like thinking it would be like a cool, like, in fact, I think I was trying to kind of intern with the Killer Clowns from Mars, or for Killer Clowns from Outer Space people.
We all are.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to get that internship.
So Googled Los Angeles puppets, and the theater came up, and it just blew me away. I just saw a show and was like nothing like it. I was like, oh, this place is fascinating. And all my like friends at the time were like, hey, this is like a serious like film program. We got to like intern on all these like sets and things like that. And they're like, no, this place seems like really interesting. So just like stuck with it. And truly a testament to the community of the theater, like the culture, like it wasn't, the professional wasn't, like it was just like this like family that just encouraged everybody to kind of be part of it. And I was just so happy to be part of it.
It's a pretty small, as far as I can tell, there's not that many. How many people are in here right now? Because there were 5 puppeteers on stage?
Today,
6?
Yeah, so normally about 5 puppeteers on stage, and then there's like 2 front of house people. I think our total staff is like 30 people, which is crazy big right now. Because when I started, there was like, total 5 people. But a lot of it's been a return. When Bob started in the 60s, his team was huge. He had been working with like people like Morton Hack, who designed Planet of the Apes, kind of was Bob's like set designer, and had a crazy team. So when I started the theater, like, and I don't want to paint it poorly, but like, it was clearly had seen better days, and the biggest, I don't want to say motivating factor, but everyone just wanted the theater to kind of reach this like glory that everybody like felt was around. So kind of growing to that big of a crew, not necessarily for just for the size of the crew, but just to kind of do the things we want to do. Like, so today we had 2 shows. There's 2 different shows out on the road. The one's in the Long Beach Halloween.
The Midsummer Scream.
Oh, right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think this weekend there's like 10 different shows in like 4 different locations.
Oh, it was, I think, was it Halloween Horror Nights, or maybe it was just Knott's Berry Farm when I was there. There was I missed it, but there was a Bob Baker show going on there.
The Halloween Spooktacular is at Knott's Berry Farm. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I've been telling him he needs to go to Knott's Berry Farm, and he keeps saying, no, Knott's Berry, no.
There's more than pie.
That's what they say when you walk in.
Yeah.
What is what is the role of the head puppeteer?
It's everything and everything and nothing at the same time. I mean, I guess artistic director maybe like another theater group may call it, but it's such a collaborative thing with the whole team of kind of everybody's contributing to like, what should this routine do, or like how should these puppets look, and so on. So like take a role of artistic director or even director, especially with a show like this that's like made by Bob and a team like 30, 40 years ago. It's a weird thing where it doesn't like feel like I'm doing anything individually. Right. It's like, it's just collaboratively.
Who comes up with the choreo? Like, was that from the original thing, or is that sort of everyone's like, what if we did this?
So there was this like really like grainy like VHS tape of the 84 show.
And if you watch it 7 days later, you turn into a puppet.
Yeah. That's where they come from. Yeah.
That's where the staff went.
Yeah. So that was kind of the base reference, but also that's choreography is all done for the old theater. So the new theater is largely the same, but like slightly different. So there's a lot of adaptation. So it's all of us. Like it's all we have Bobos, Cocos, and Totos are like tiers of puppetry, and the like Bobos are kind of like the lead puppeteers who kind of collaborative. Or like, okay, let's figure out exactly what we're gonna go, and then the Totos are kind of the next level people that kind of have the mid to lead parts, and then the Totos are the new puppeteers who are just learning, who eventually will be Totos and Bobos. Yeah. You guys don't have that?
We're saying this like, yes, of course, Bobos and Totos. Because it's like, it really, like I was watching, I was like, this is like a ballet of, because if one of you makes a wrong step, there's so many strings, and why, like everybody can get tangled up like immediately. And it's crazy to watch, like everybody finessing around each other.
Half of rehearsal is just the kind of body choreography of where we have to be when, and it's also like knowing and having the confidence of what comes next. So like mistakes happen every show, and it's just like be able to bounce back. Yeah, which I'm sure is very similar to other theaters. I was the whole time like, something's gonna go wrong. I'm gonna see like a puppet collapse or something, and nothing. As far as I could tell, nothing went where you didn't. No, I'll catch you next time.
Like a magic show. I came for the Fiesta show, and it was the one with, I think it was an ostrich or a large bird dropped the egg. But there was a hot second where I'm like, oh no, like something got tangled up, and there's 2 people in one spot, and oh no, like I'm seeing the thing, I'm seeing the car crash, and then it separated, and there was an egg, and the egg hatched, and there was another bird that required strings. I'm like, oh, they're masters, they know exactly what they're doing. They're pros. Why would I think that they're messing up ever? That egg gets tangled so much. Well, I got the good show then. Yeah.
That's why you got to have a midwife. When you do that. I have one more personal question before we get back to the actual questions. Have you ever, because I was in Slovenia a long time ago, and there is a puppet like opera house. Like I don't know if you've heard of this place. It's a marionette theater, but it like looks like an opera house, and they have like a whole marionette museum there. I wanted to know if you have been there or heard of it.
Europe's like a whole other story of just their like puppetry. They just treat it. Who's listening to this?
We're wondering the same thing.
Yeah. You can write it down. We'll read it together. Oh yeah.
But there's the Salzburg marionettes in Brussels, I want to say, which is like a world class like opera like marionette company. Mm-hmm. There's the Czech Republic. It's crazy. There's actually someone who's in the audience today from France who were talking about the Luxembourg Theater, which in 400 Blows they go see a puppet show at one point. Yeah, so like that's like in the middle of Paris.
I thought they did a puppet show of 400 Blows.
Slow but good.
But I mean, so I don't know that puppet company, but there are tons. Unima is the international puppetry collective, and they have a wonderful website that tells you like every puppet that
like a United Nations of puppets.
I know. I was like, I'm going to impress him with this one. There's no place like this. And he named like 5 other places.
We have a dream for the 2028 like Olympics in LA to kind of reach out to other like puppet companies throughout the world and do like an Olympics of puppetry here.
You should be at the opening ceremony.
You heard it first.
We'll make it happen. Okay, so what is this place's role in the city, the Bob Baker Theater?
So, what's the theater's role in the city? I can answer that so many different ways.
Right.
Like sanctuary of sweet is like a term that we use like often, where essentially it's just this like getaway from the reality of the city. It's this little like, safe space that is just about joy, about happiness.
Yeah.
And it's this little sanctuary that's been shared kind of across generations. So all the time we have grandparents that came as kids that brought their kids and now grandkids. And so it's this like shared little like slice of joy. I mean, so that's like one lens. Like another lens is like it's literally a cultural like landmark. It's been around for a long time, and this is our 60th year.
Oh, wow.
So it's a literal part of history. And then there's also so many artists and people that kind of come through the doors and collaborated. It's really just a community and a network of creative people. So one of his answers probably hopefully answers the question.
And the place was packed. Like it was, I think, a full house, just the show we just saw. It's funny that you Sanctuary of Sweet, because I was watching it thinking like, this is so sweet. That is the word I was thinking. Like, this is really sweet.
I'm so protective of this space, Old Town Music Hall, and the Breakfast Club are the 3 that I'm like, nobody touch this. This is perfect. There's good, nice places for people to go.
So for me, not an LA native, like the theater has been this wonderful portal, like just to, I wonder how I would hear about these places if it wasn't through the theater, like the network of the Breakfast Club and Old Town and the Velasavi Panorama and just these strange like novelties that are, none of them are like have some big advertising budget. Yeah. So you just kind of hear about it by being in the know, which is both beautiful, but also like, oh man, you got to know about this place.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking also, because we've been talking recently about like the Hollywood Bowl has gotten so like all of these places have gotten so expensive and it's like cost prohibitive to go to a lot of shows at the Hollywood Bowl now. But here it's like very affordable and it's like world class. And you will not see anything like it anywhere else in the city.
But in Europe.
Except for all the places.
No, I mean, we talk about all the time because this year we can raise ticket prices or just needed to. But like, I mean, we're a nonprofit, which is like a new thing in the past like 5 years. So it's like supported by donations and grants, including DCA with the city. And I mean, it's just important. Like, we don't want to, make some expensive show that becomes inaccessible for half of LA.
Yeah. Might be hard to choose. So take your time. What's the most important thing here? Me.
I mean, this is such a dodge, but
my boss.
I mean, it's kind of this. It's the idea that nothing's really more important than else. Like, I think the puppets by themselves, like, only mean so much without the kind of the puppeteers that are around them, or through the scenic or the experience, kind of their experience, and all the music that's there. Like everything's interconnected in such a crucial way. Like I don't know how to answer that question of the most important thing,
but that's the right answer.
There is you're the first one to answer correctly. A good deed shines through. The next question, slightly different, but maybe easier. What is your favorite thing here? And if it isn't a particular puppet, sidebar, which one is your favorite puppet?
The question comes up all the time, and it truly is akin to like picking a favorite child.
Yeah,
where like everyone has one, but they're like saying it.
Can't say it out loud on a recorder.
but they're all like beautiful. Like so, Demetrius Nova Twinkle Star the Third is a favorite for sure. But there's like these tap dancing frogs they love. I mean, the oil rigs in this show, like they're truly a puppet I saw like that really captivated me and was like, oh, that is like sums up like things I like about the theater. How strange it is and beautiful at the same time.
Yeah, you pointed out when we were backstage, I didn't realize that the spurting oil was also palm tree-esque.
It's whatever your imagination wants it to be. It's not supposed to be, but I think the little kid said it, and I was like, okay, yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely.
What that kid says goes.
Yeah.
We just did an episode on oil, and I went on a long rant about how the oil derricks have ruined the landscape of the city. And then seeing it in the show, I'm like, oh, they're not that bad. They're okay.
As long as they can dance.
Yeah. Another possible hard one that's all in my direction. What would LA be like without this place? What do you think?
Not a city I would want to be.
Europe's calling.
Yeah.
In particular, Slovenia.
What would LA be without the Bob Baker Marionette Theater? I don't know, like a little less fun. I want to say a little less like innocent, but like I think like innocent's the wrong word. It's not as if like the show's so cheeky and like straddles that line of adult or kids entertainment.
Oh yeah,
but there's something that seems super sincere. People say like it's uncynical. Like there's nothing here that kind of feels like it's too tongue in cheek. Like we had actually a hard time putting the Nicole Kidman kind of thing in the show. It was like, oh, is that too contemporary? Is it too cynical? But like for the most part, like everything here is just like kind and like, sweet. So LA would just be that much less kind.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed, because like a lot of often in the show, the puppets will get right up in a kid's face, and sometimes the kid's like, but most of the time they like it's I wanted to ask you like what is it like to make a child happy, because they get so happy when the puppet comes up in their face.
I mean, it's not like it. It's addictive. It's I mean, it's just. I mean, it's the difference of this or like film puppetry. It's like it's just immediate gratification.
Yeah.
I mean, like I mean, it's like it's what everything strives. Like every like movement of the puppet is like, oh, how is this going to engage a kid or make someone smile or make us happy or build towards that moment? I mean, it's just great. It's just rewarding. It makes you feel like what you're doing like means something, even if that's just a dancing oil rig. It's like, oh, this means something, I guess.
That kid will never forget that a giant dragon came up and looked it in the face or whatever. Okay, so this next one, and I'm hoping for a scary answer here. What's the strangest thing that's ever happened here? I assume backstage at night, it's just a Toy Story.
All the puppets are smoking back then. Cut it out.
A lot of them do smoke, but like we do it like because it's the '60s and like everyone could do that. But this, I mean, there's never a dull moment. Like the phone calls we get of like, was like Metallica came down to do like a Master of Puppets like a riff thing.
I've remember seeing a picture. I'm like, is that Metallica?
And I mean. So David Arquette, who is like just the nicest person, like a huge puppet fan, and just like I think deep connections with like vaudeville. I think his grandmother was a vaudeville performer. Forgive me if I'm saying that wrong, but he has a nightclub called Bootsy Bellows on the Sunset Strip. And essentially has puppeteers going to come out and kind of, just like they're kind of like go-go dances, but just like the puppets are just there dancing.
In cages.
And it's like really fun. And it's like, but it's truly there. So we used to go there and bring some of the puppets that you can imagine, which one's like the Black Cat and whatever. Would go and perform until 2 a.m. of just like dancing when people were like spraying champagne everywhere, and that always felt really strange. And we would go there, do like 2 a.m, and then like the next day the puppets would kind of come back smelling like booze and cigarettes.
We got bags under their eyes.
We did, so it didn't last long. And truly, David is like sincerely probably the kindest person I've ever met. So like very quickly was like, oh, he's the puppets are being damaged even the slightest. He was like, oh, let's get different ones.
Yeah,
but that was strange.
David Arquette, he's always the answer for the strangest thing that everyone needs. It's always David Arquette.
Yeah, the names you guys got for the telethon was so exciting. Telethon was great.
I mean, it's the embarrassment riches of a place like the theater where like it's has such goodwill for like everybody. Yeah. So it's just not hard to just make us the people that kind of come down, whether it be like Angelina or Dita Montice or just so many people. So it's like the Rolodex of people that kind of want to contribute and like do things. It's shocking.
And for the most part, everybody fits. Everyone, I'll see a name like, oh, they belong there. That's a perfect name for that show.
Yeah. Even Metallica makes perfect sense.
What's this place's best kept secret, you think?
If I say it, it really doesn't.
It's the combination to the safe.
Yeah. We actually have a few mysterious like safes that kind of we even like took from the old theater that like nobody has the combination for and no idea what's inside.
This is knocking.
What was it? It was what, Mickey Cohen's safe. What was that?
Oh,
what was that? The one that like Geraldo Rivera.
No, it wasn't Mickey Cohen. It was Jimmy Hoffa.
Jimmy Hoffa.
No.
Jimmy Hoffa didn't have a safe. Jimmy Hoffa might have been.
It is something like that. It is like
or somebody they thought killed Jimmy Hoffa because they thought Jimmy Hoffa was in the safe.
It still could be Mickey Cohen. He's not off the table.
But there's a lot of like safes. Supposedly, so in this building, so it's the York Theater, which has been around since 1923. Supposedly there's a basement here, and so we've had multiple people that said like, oh, I came here when this was a church, and like, what do you guys do in the basement? And we're like, what are you talking about? Like, what basement? and they're like convinced they go to exactly where the entrance door was, and we've dug holes in the floor. We've like tried to look for it.
That's weird.
Yeah, so that's
really weird.
I don't want to alarm you, but that's the end of National Treasure.
Yeah.
Which I saw recently.
The Declaration of Independence is here.
Nick Cage is being here, and like, it was only strange because it's Nick Cage and he's just awesome. But he was here for the last show of the old theater.
Okay.
Which was like this crazy like emotion where everyone's like crying as they're performing, and they just look to your right and Nicolas Cage is there. Kind of. But I mean that's like so LA too. It's so like celebrity-esque. Like there's all those moments. But like what's beautiful about even the show with Nick Cage was here, it's like, Nick Cage is just a kid alongside all the other kids in the theater.
Right. Did he grow up here? Who knows the answer to this? Where did Nicolas Cage grow up?
I believe he said he saw Bob Baker as a kid.
Oh, wow.
So maybe.
Yeah, maybe he's the one in the basement. So when's the best time to come here?
It's all good times.
Yeah. Closed whenever.
I mean, the Halloween, the Spooktacular and like the Nutcracker show are always like the like buy your tickets straight away. They sell out like nonstop. But like, to be honest, like that's our busiest time, and then we're like tired and doing that. I feel like if you come just in a January or a March, like that's the time where like you ask any puppeteer off the show, like, hey, show me around, like tell me secrets or whatever it is, like
show me the basement.
We could, but like, everyone's open, so the best time would be like I don't know. I mean, essentially, I don't want to say like, "Oh, come to the Halloween show," but it's every show is just as magical.
Yeah, it's a warm day today, so getting ice cream after the show felt particularly rewarding.
Yeah. It feels good today. Not in January.
I'll eat it, but
a little hot ice cream.
A very important question: where should you park if you want to come here?
Great question. So the city lots kind of. I want to say Avenue like 51, kind of up around it, and then, but I mean, there is like street parking kind of along York Boulevard or on the streets behind. Be respectful of the neighbors.
Yes, I wasn't.
One of our fears going to coming here, like, oh, what's parking going to be like? Because it's old theater where things being grandfathered in,
right?
But I know I park here every day, never a problem. So
I think it's easier than the old place, right?
To an extent, I think. Oh, you had a parking lot at the old theater, so
the theater it was weird. Theater didn't own it, and it was always like many shows were like they would start towing cars. We're like, wait, they do it. We had a parking lot, but it definitely didn't make it easier.
The parking enforcement puppet comes in.
Yeah. I think the many intersections of the last theater made it a little bit foreboding on top.
Yeah. It was a confusing intersection to be in.
It's bittersweet because it's such like personal connection to that old space, and it's just beautiful, like handcrafted thing. But like it's like tucked away under this bridge. Like there's not much like surrounding kind of like like there's no like high street you can walk down and kind of go get food.
Right.
So it just feels so much. It feels great here.
Yeah, it feels like much closer to like a community of people. Like you must get like a lot of people just off the street. Like, what's this?
You could spend the whole rest of the day here after the show.
Yeah.
Well, that ties into the last question. Best place to eat around here also.
Before we get to that, I have a dream, so if anyone's listening. So the old theater, so we left that there, supposedly going to build apartments. Give it 20 years, I bet you they're not going to build apartments. But the dream is a millionaire listening to this podcast will be like, whoa, I got $1 million, and the theater can buy the old building, turn it into like a school and a museum space.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
And still keep this theater as like the main hub.
Yeah.
So if you're listening, have probably about $5 million.
Yeah, give half to us, and then the rest can go
to our generous listeners. Yeah.
Favorite best place to eat here. Bell's Bagels is like truly the best bagel spot in LA.
We get bagels before this.
Yeah, but so in up the street, they're about to open this like deli that will be open all day long.
Okay.
And I'm really excited for that.
Yeah.
Everyone loves Joy. Wolfie's next door, which is like the vegan option. Kumquat Coffees. So the people, AJ, who owns Kumquat, used to come to this church when he was a kid.
Oh, wow.
And they're just nice people. And you go inside the Kumquat Coffee, and it's just this like peaceful, calm place. You can just tell it's just like the coffee and the food and the pastries and the tea. It's all just made with love, and it just feels like that in there.
Bagels at Bell's, coffee at Kumquat's.
Yeah. It's a good morning.
Hot chicken at Wolfie's.
Yeah.
That's my breakfast. Well, those are all of our official questions. Do you have anything else? I got all my, I crammed all my questions.
I just have a bunch of comments about how much of a fan I am of this theater, so I'll let you go first, and I'll jam that in somewhere.
I don't have any more questions. I can ask you about Slovenia again. But no, thank you. We've been looking forward to. We've been wanting to do a Bob Baker interview for what, like 8 years or something. And now we have the clout to finally be able to. The city respects us. We have millionaire listeners. This was very exciting for us.
Thank you so much for giving us a tour and putting on a great show. Not for us. I mean, for us, but also a room full of people as well.
I didn't care about anyone else. Just for you guys.
When you threw the marionettes at us at our seats.
Yeah, Alex, thank you for sitting with us and talking to us.
Thank you. Sincerely, like, I'm not from LA, and it's just I truly discovered the outside of LA. Everyone thinks of LA as like movies and this, like not much cultural things, and so, but LA is just filled with culture and history and beauty. And thank you both for having something that kind of celebrates all of that.
Yeah, no, this is really such a unique place. It's very special.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing free advertising for the rest of my life.
We have been. I feel like we have been for years. Every chance we get, we bring up the Bob Baker, and now we get paid to do it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.